Let's get. Can I get all of you guys just for a moment, just to like shock us, like with how loud you can say "Wake the Farm Up" at us?
That's pretty good for Sunday.
Yeah.
That's like Friday energy right there.
Yeah, these campers are ready. So one of the things that we're really excited, I'm just going to jump right into it with you, Theo, here.
Yeah, man.
We got this amazing thing. I've really been inspired in music and my creations by nature and the sounds of nature, the feels and textures, the way that just the finding the puzzle of how we as people and can exist in it, integrating ourselves in it, being our nature. It's like we're not separate from nature, we're our nature. And
Amen.
Finding that, though, as a higher calling in which you're creating and finding your art and channeling it. I know that some of you may be aware, but maybe not all of you are aware that a lot of Theo's music comes from the inspiration of music, and I've heard some of your poetry describing how that inspires. Can you share some of that?
Yeah, totally.
Go into that.
Well, I haven't really talked a lot about specifically the last decade. I was mostly living in Los Angeles, California, which is a place I'm sure some of you have heard of. Okay. But I spent the previous decade in the great state of Michigan, which is right next door. And
can you show us on? It's a theme in the show for Michigan, and
well, I went to school at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is like there, but
it's like down at the bottom of the thumb for the audio listeners.
Southeast Michigan. But then I toured a lot with that guy right there, Brendan Andes. What's up, baby?
All right.
And so over that decade, I was because of Michigan, I was able to get across the whole state, kind of up more there and up here, and even into the Upper Peninsula. And I got to see just the great beauty that is the state of Michigan and the Great Lakes region. And I got a chance to really build a lot of real community throughout the state and the region. And by the way, that's really what music is for me, is building community and getting to make connections with people. I love people. I love all of you.
Wake the farm up.
Yeah.
Maintaining ground.
I do like music. Ground. I will be clear, but I really like music because it's my way to connect with people. And so over that decade in my 20s, I really was mostly in Michigan and the Midwest, and then I was in LA for most of the next decade. And so during the pandemic, I took a road trip in my van, went back to Michigan. I just felt called to get back in the water and just like ground myself in nature.
Fresh water, baby.
Fresh water, exactly. And so I went on this road trip, and I ended up having this series of events happen where I had written down the criteria that I would, for a dream property, for me to have a wilderness retreat style recording studio. And I wanted a certain amount of land, I wanted a house, I wanted a barn, and I wanted there to be water running through the property, and I wanted it to be surrounded on 3 sides by state land so that it would be very unlikely for anybody to be able to build on it. And I thought to myself, like, well, this is basically impossible. You know, this is an absurd bar to set, but this is really what I would want. So I'll just write it down. And a couple people had told me, like, write it down. You know, that's how you manifest. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. And then I'm like, you know what? Why not? I'll just write it down.
It's been written.
Yeah, and I wrote it down, and I shit you not. I hope I can say that. Too late.
You're good.
Shit you not. Within a couple weeks, that property was sent to me. A friend of mine just sent me that property that actually exceeded all the criteria.
Right.
And I was jaw dropped, like I have to do this. So I ended up I was fortunate enough to be able to buy this property, and basically spent the pandemic turning it into my the first iteration of my dream little recording situation. It's a very humble situation, but in terms of the gear and in terms of the studio element, but
ambiance.
What is not humble about it and what is profound is this nature piece. And because I lived in LA for a decade, I knew that LA has 1,000 studios and it's got the best studios in the world for recording music, but one of the things it doesn't have is the ability to like really drop in and ground yourself and eliminate distractions, because in the big cities, the strength of the city is that there's people everywhere. But that leads to my next theme, which is like the strength and the weakness are always the same. So like I'm extremely talkative, so it's good to give me a microphone to do a podcast, but if the goal is for me to save my voice, I have a tremendous weakness, which is I talk all the fucking time.
You just need some other people around whose tongues are sprung and they're just ready to go. And
there we
just
go.
Wound up and just gonna have so much to say. I mean, if you crack the door open with some people into nature, nature, the endless bounds of like exploration. There's so much there in that realm that we don't even know yet. Science don't even know.
Correct.
There's so much woo-woo out there that's been proven by science. It's fascinating.
Yeah, like you were speaking about how there's a more, I guess, authentic experience for, we were kind of speaking it in a way that felt like it was for audience members. Like we're not getting droned out by the repetitive nature of sound when we're hearing, what did you call the kind of cut that you do?
Like a repeated sample.
Yeah, no. When it's just a one-time cut. I don't know.
Like a live take.
Yeah, live take. There we go. Thank you. So, but I wonder what that does for you. Like,
that's a good question.
And you even Andy spoke into that process of like editing things over and over again and sitting there with coffee and doing that. And I'm like, what kind of person would that make you in the world when you're going through that process versus
that's a good question.
When you're somebody who takes it one time? Are you able to show up more authentically in the rest of your life?
Boom.
In a word, yes, absolutely. And great train of thinking there. So, yeah, I'm guilty of editing myself to shit as well. We probably all have. That's what Photoshop can do. That's what other things, whatever. There's a place for these things. Like if I take a photo that ends up having a huge light flare on it because the film got screwed up on the camera and it was the last photo and it was the right shot and the press deadline is tomorrow, then I'm glad that Photoshop can remove the streak.
Yep.
Right? That would be, maybe you could consider that a responsible use of Photoshop. But
I think another responsible use, like the other day, I was using one of the golf carts here, and somebody had put like a corporate coffee cup in the cup holder when they arrived here, and it was still there late. Somebody was about to take my picture by the golf cart. I was like, can we remove the corporate logo out of the picture, please?
Hey.
Nice.
I just felt, it was like,
totally.
I'm the kind of person that'll try to call that out because they're trying to advertise to us in the craziest ways. I saw that in the 90s when I was walking through the forest and I saw McFun or something in the middle of the forest on the floor. I'm like, why'd you have to advertise me? I was just out here. And then I trip over a box that says natural light. I'm like, what's going on here?
I know, and thank God that the human body is able to withstand the amount of natural light that I drank as a teenager, because it's been a while since I had that. But yeah, but totally, man. The answer to like, as far as I feel it when I'm recording music, is that if the goal is for me to show up more authentically in the world, then I need to let myself be seen, and that's vulnerability. So we all kind of, either we know or we've heard many times that vulnerability is important in this life, and that requires trust from your community, but you want to be fully seen. For me, I realized at some point that my goal is to be an empowered, happy, healthy, strong, loving human being. That is my actual goal. And if I'm going to walk through the world in an empowered, because above all else, I care about human empowerment. I realize that's the through line for me. Yes. I just care about empowerment. So if you play in my band and you're the best guitar player in the world, and I love playing with you, and it's the most incredible thing that's ever happened to me in my life, but then you tell me that actually playing in my band doesn't feel empowering to you because you need to quit and go become a coder and move to Europe. This is a true story, by the way. This happened to my friend Tom, and bless his heart. Hell yeah, Tom, go do that. Chase that dream.
Right.
Because I want empowerment, right? So I'll just cap this off by saying, if the goal is to be empowered, then I need to show myself in my authenticity. If I want to feel confident showing up in the world as I actually am, then I need to let everybody know who and what I actually am.
Yeah.
So now if we record my music and I do 48 vocal takes and I pick the best word from each take so that I can essentially pretend to you that I'm better than I actually am, then you will think I'm great. And everybody may think I'm great, but the sad irony is the only person who will think I'm not great is fucking me.
Hey. Right.
So it's really ain't about you guys. It's about me in the sense of I'm recording that way because I'm trying to show up in my power. And so I recommend everybody record themselves. If you're a musician, like do a full live take, see what happens. You're probably 98% of the way there. Because for that last 2%, I have to ask, like, is it worth it? And you know what? If somebody's about to give you $100,000 to do a commercial for Target that needs to be completely auto-tuned and you know you need to feed your children then do it. Yeah, but that's put it in my pocket. But back pocket was not tuned.
I would do that, but I would edit the logo for Target
Yeah.
out.
Totally. I think we could safe to say that Target's gonna have a hard time getting anybody in this room to do the gig that I just described. We're going to all remove the logo. But my point is, and I hope it's clear enough, that if the goal is empowerment, then you have to let yourself be seen in your authenticity. And so you have to be very careful with these modern tools that let you effectively lie to everybody else. And again, if your goal is to make more money, maybe you will. I don't know. But I have to say, every single time I have watched an artist follow the authentic path, it has led to Wolfpack or my music or, I mean, I could just list, the list goes on, like the more sort of, quote, successful acts that I know are all people who are following their most authentic expression. Lewis Cole, you know, I mean, even Kendrick Lamar, like, what is that? I mean, that to me is like, that's not even, people can't even handle that shit. That shit's so real. Okay? And it's successful. So I don't buy the, like, you need to water your shit down in order to get everybody to drink it. I don't buy that at all. I think that, especially with where we're going in AI, like, best of luck competing with an actual robot.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna happen. We're gonna lose that battle. So I'd rather just lose it from the get-go and stay human with what I'm doing.
Yeah, same. Word.
Wake the farm up.
Wake the farm up.
Wake the farm up.
Theo Katzman. Love the farm.
But anybody can do this. That's
Yeah.
the beautiful. This isn't about me being like, yeah, I'm a tough guy. Me versus AI.
Yeah, it's not
I kinda,
proprietary.
Right.
No.
Well, it seems